Hello everyone, and welcome to a brief overview of the role of the pancreas and liver in regulating digestion. This presentation was made for my medical physiology course, and I'll be taking you through the roles of the pancreas and the liver, as well as some facts about the hormones and the regulatory systems that work to help digest macromolecules such as proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates. So just for reference, we just finished our discussion of the cephalic phase of digestion and the gastric phase of digestion. So now we'll discuss the intestinal phase. So within the intestinal phase of digestion, we have organs like the liver and pancreas that both aid in digestion and work in conjunction with the small intestine to help digest food and extract micronutrients. So in this drawing that I made for this presentation, we see the gallbladder, a cutout of the small intestine, and the pancreas. So let's look at this picture a little deeper. So the gallbladder sits right on top of the small intestine. The small intestine is made up of three components: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. So this little cutout I've made just so you can see the vasculature of the duodenum. Within the duodenum, you have a little point called the papillae of Vater, which is where you have the pancreatic duct releases right into there, which is helpful in digestion. So the pancreas runs along the side of the small intestine and will eventually, dump some of its contents into the small intestine. You may have noticed that I did not draw the liver in this PowerPoint. However, don't be afraid. The liver will make its grand appearance in a couple slides. So keep this picture in mind as we go on to discuss the role of the pancreas in digestion. So the pancreas is a really important organ because it is both an endocrine and an exocrine organ. Endocrine organs function to secrete hormones directly into the bloodstream, and the main hormones that are made in the pancreas are insulin and glucagon. Both of these are vital in regulating blood sugar. The pancreas is also an exocrine organ, which means that it secretes substances out through a duct. In this case, it's the pancreatic duct. And the main things that are secreted from the pancreatic duct are digestive enzymes and sodium bicarbonate. Both of these are used to help digest foods and break down macromolecules. So once the food is inside the small intestine, there's certain signals that tell the pancreatic duct to begin to secrete pancreatic juices to help break down the food. So those three signals are the presence of food in the small intestine, neural signaling, and the presence of another hormone called CCK. That releases digestive enzymes. So what causes sodium bicarbonate to be released? Usually it's due to a neural stimulation or to the hormone secretin, which we will go on to discuss in further lectures. Keep in mind that through our study of physiology, much of the material that we learn about is cumulative. So we've seen sodium bicarbonate play a very important role in neutralizing acid entering from the stomach. That should be familiar to us because we just finished a unit on the respiratory system. Within this unit on the respiratory system, we talked about sodium bicarbonate as a buffer and a regulator to help regulate CO2 levels within the body. So in this case, sodium bicarbonate plays a similar role as a buffer. So we're going to go right back to this so we could talk a little bit more about the specifics now that we know the role of the pancreatic duct and what stimulates the secretion of what we call pancreatic juices. So pancreatic juices is just a colloquial term for an alkaline solution that contains enzymes that aid in digestion of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. So similar to what we've seen in other lectures, pancreatic amylase is located in pancreatic juice, and these are enzymes that help complete the digestion of starch. In addition to pancreatic amylase, we have pancreatic lipase, which aids in the digestion of fat. So we kind of see that dual role. Both of these can be secreted by that pancreatic duct. And so just to recap, on the following slide, like we've seen before, you have different signals that signal both for digestive enzymes to be secreted as well as for sodium bicarbonate, which both have the same role essentially of helping to digest and break down some food. So now we'll move on to the liver. So the liver is really important because of its role in secreting bile. So as you can see, I've included the prefix for liver, hepat, which is just Latin for liver. So the liver has a really important role in secreting bile from hepatocytes. So hepatocytes are cells, are liver cells. Bile salts, bile pigments, and cholesterol all aid in fat digestion by coating lipids to make emulsions, which we'll go into in further detail in our next slide. The hepatic portal system is something that's worth mentioning when we talk about the liver. So the hepatic portal system is a specialized region of circulation that has two sets of capillary beds, one that picks up absorbed nutrients from the intestines and one that actually delivers nutrients to the liver. The liver plays a very important role in regulating red blood cells as well. Unfortunately, liver diseases, although briefly talked about in our textbook, are pretty complicated and can be very deadly. Different hepatitises as well as liver disease and liver cirrhosis are all something to have checked regularly by your doctor to ensure that your blood is being filtered correctly and properly by the liver. So now back to the regular scheduled programming on digestion. So bile is really important because it is an amphipathic molecule. So an amphipathic molecule has both hydrophobic and hydrophilic sections. So just to review, hydrophobic, right here, means it's afraid of water, and hydrophilic is a water-loving side. So amphipathic, similar to an amphibian, it has two sides. Bile has an important role in synthesizing plasma proteins, as well as filtering blood entering the liver. It can scout through the blood to find nutrients and potential foreign substances that could be harmful if passed into circulation. So bilirubin from hemoglobin is also processed in the liver, as well as metabolites from peripheral tissues and hemoglobin. So although liver has a very important role in regulating red blood cells and body filtration as well, when we're talking about digestion, we're talking about the role of the liver, mainly in regards to creating the proper molecules in the environment to digest fat molecules and break down certain types of lipids. Our final slide is a rendition of a picture from our textbook, which is Human Physiology by Silverthorne. It's a great book, lots of information in it. And this picture is taken from chapter 21. And I think it's really important because it kind of sums up the role of the liver and why the liver is so important. So if we just start on this side of the picture, we can see what is absorbed from the GI tract and what travels into the liver. So let's follow the arrows. So again, like I had just mentioned in my prior slide, we have bilirubin, nutrients, drugs, or foreign substances that is absorbed from the GI tract into the liver. And again, what does the liver do? Glucose and fat metabolism, we mentioned that. Some protein synthesis, hormone synthesis, urea production, detoxing and storage of nutrients and bile. From the liver, similar to our prior slide here, we have the duodenum. Usually the liver would sit right about here, and we have secretions to the duodenum from the liver as well. So if we take a look here, follow our arrow down, what's secreted into the duodenum from the liver? Bile salts, bilirubin, water, ions, and phospholipids. And this all makes sense because we know that this is what's made in the liver, right? And similarly, as previously mentioned, we did talk about the hepatic vein. So metabolites from the liver travel to peripheral tissue. You have glucose, plasma proteins, vitamin D, urea, and metabolites that are traveling from the liver through the hepatic vein and into the peripheral tissue. And similar to how we've discussed in the brief unit on the endocrine system as well, we have another set of hepatic veins in our brain near the the video got fuzzy. We have that right next to our pituitary gland to help release hormones. So just to make sure the secretion is faster as opposed to going through the entire circulatory system, you have metabolites travel from the liver to peripheral tissue through the hepatic vein as well as in the pituitary gland. You have faster secretion that way. So thanks again for watching my video. Sorry for that little glitch before, and I hope you learned something. Thank you.